You
All right, all right. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to my podcast. I'm Al, and my co-host is Annette McKinney. How are you, Annette?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I guess this is what they call a Victory Monday, correct?
Yes, yes.
I also think that probably need to start ordering some defibrillators when we're watching Eagles game.
Yes, indeed. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Let me start off with a little bit of history about the Eagles Cowboys rivalry. As of yesterday, we have played 129 games against each other.
Yeah.
And the very first one came, I think it was the second week of Dallas' existence in the NFL, and that was September the 30th, 1960. And the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles won that 27-25. Now, out of all those years that we played, the Cowboys have the edge, winning 73, and the Eagles winning 56.
Yeah.
But we're not going to worry about all that. We won yesterday. That's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yep. That's all that counts.
And another thing that a lot of people don't know, especially these Dallas fans, because they always saying, "Well, we got 5 Super Bowls. We got 5 Super Bowls." But in reality, they have 5 Super Bowls, but we also have four NFC titles.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them were prior to the Super Bowl era, and
Right.
then the one Super Bowl. So in actuality, we only one behind him. They
That's
thinking we
true.
haven't won
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Because when they changed to being the Super Bowl versus what we had before, yeah, we're definitely
Yeah,
right there. So,
yeah, we were right there with him. So all right, let's get into yesterday. We started out. We kicked off to them. Dallas had the ball first, and they had a 3-and-out. So once they had that 3-and-out, did that give you any indication of how you think the game may go?
no, I mean it was good to see them go 3-and-out, but I know that watching them play and the rivalry between two teams, I didn't think that meant a whole lot. It meant that hey, we starting off good, but way too much more football to go.
Right, right.
Mhm.
I have a friend. He used to play for Dallas. And he called me when Dallas got their first score. Oh man, you see that? I said, man, this is just one score.
Yeah,
It's the first quarter.
yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, and he called me 3 other times. I said, okay, I let him have it. I didn't call him when we scored. I called him once it went to 4 zeros.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I called him.
yeah. The hard way.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the defense here. Every week we saying the defense need to do this, defense need to do that. How did you see the defense this week?
It's still the same. They still got a lot that they have to clean up. Um, our DBs. I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, they did step up at some crucial moments once again,
Mm-hmm.
and that's good because we got the W. But still, a lot of messiness on that. I mean, for us to have those front four, like I didn't hear too much out of Carter, Williams, Jordan, Davis. I mean, all that until like towards the very end. It's like in
Right.
sweat. That's when you start seeing some of these names show up. And we got 4 quarters, and I didn't hear any of their names mentioned too much in the first 3 quarters. And that's to me is not acceptable with the with on paper how it looks. Like, everybody's like, their defense is this, their defense is that. Defense did not show up yesterday, not the first three quarters.
Right, right. And like you said in previous week, they showed up when they really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But every game is not going to go like that. They're not going to be
No.
able to show up at that last minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing that they did, but it's not going to last that way. So,
It
and
seems
all
to,
the
it seems
players.
to me that the defensive coordinator is letting them play those first three quarters, and then when he sees that we're not like really winning the game or the game's going to be close, is when he starts calling blitzing and all the other stuff where he should be doing it periodically through the whole game.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right.
he brings it all. He brings all the juice in the fourth quarter, and like you said, sometimes that's not going to be enough. Just like last night, it was barely enough to get us
Yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah. And especially, and we this is another thing that we say every week, is that secondary, they are
Mhm.
getting eaten alive
Yes,
every single week.
yeah, that secondary is terrible. Mm.
I think on the first touchdown that Dallas got, I had put the blame on Blankenship. But then when I
Mm-hmm.
kept watching the replays, he was responsible for that guy, but he was also responsible for that gap. And
Yeah.
Dallas was running a RPO, and he
Mm-hmm.
stepped up because he thought the guy was going to run it. And then by the
Mm-hmm.
time he stepped up, that's when Dak threw the ball to the right,
Right.
and he was a
Right.
step behind then. So to me, somebody else should have been. He should have had some help back there because
Mm-hmm.
if he
Right.
responsible for that gap and you step up towards that gap, somebody should have been behind you to cover you.
Right. And Blankenship, I mean, he to me, I mean, he gets a lot of flack and everything. To me, he played a decent game yesterday because he
Hmm.
saved a lot of different plays yesterday. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
he doesn't get too much credit because how everything looks on the field. But like I said, when you rewind it a little bit, you say, okay, well, he did do his job.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
other people did not step up to help.
And especially that they call it a touchdown, but he was in coverage, and
Hmm.
it wasn't because his knee hit the ground and the ball was not over the
Right.
goal line. So that was a hell of a play made by
Yeah.
Blankenship there.
Yeah. Because if Blankenship's not there, then that guy, he feels more comfortable of just taking his time and really landing like he's supposed to. But having that
Yeah,
guy on him like that, have Blankenship being on him like that, he had to rush it. And like I said, when he rushed it, he didn't have time to get that ball over the line. And that was like a miracle play.
yeah, yeah,
That pretty much saved the game too.
yeah. Now Dallas, like I said, get the three and out, and now we get the ball.
Hmm.
And as we had said before, we're used to them getting the ball and going down the field and scoring, that
Hmm.
first 15 or 12 plays. And that's exactly what happened. That made me feel a little good, even
Yeah.
though still the beginning of the game.
Hmm.
So how did you see that first series that we was had the ball?
I liked it and everything, and I thought, okay, now we're on top because I feel like even though we got that touchdown first, I thought we needed that because playing Dallas, I said we got to be on top of them. We can't be
Mm-hmm.
coming from behind. So it was a good start because I'm like, that's what we needed because once they score and trying to catch up to them, and like I said, they are a good team. Um, it could go either way when you got to try to come from behind. And I was glad that we were on top to begin with.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it was a good series, but we also had some. I think this was probably the second time in years that Lane Johnson had gave up a sack.
Yeah, yeah.
And I seen one play where Malata had missed the block,
Yeah.
and but
Hmm.
as the flow of the game goes, like we were always saying, they make a mistake, but they seem to correct it, and.
Hmm.
I like the way Gainwell was running yesterday.
Oh
He
yeah,
a
he
lot
did.
of
He had a
people are
good.
talking about him saying he's not giving enough, but we can say that about the whole team.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he
we
he played
can.
well. He played well yesterday.
He did. And then and also when Gainwell does make a mistake, and most players do, nobody's gonna have a perfect game. He does try to correct that and clean it up when he gets the ball, his hand on the ball again. He's not gonna do the same thing twice. Not consistent. He may make an error in the game, but he'll turn around and next thing you know, the next play that he has, he'll go ahead and do what he has to do to make that play work. So
Right, right. And then I guess we came down to our favorite brotherly shove.
Yeah. That was
Nobody
yesterday.
seems to be able to stop that, you know.
Nope. It's
But
like
now,
it's almost guaranteed. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
mhm.
and then they threw last week they threw that wrinkle in there
Yeah.
where they got in that formation and then,
Yeah.
wow, I was hoping that they don't do that too much because even though it's on film now, but when you get used to seeing it, you expect it. But and they probably expected it yesterday and it didn't
Mhm.
happen. So
Yeah.
they're always finding a way to make that thing work, you know.
Yeah. Like if it don't if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, what was this? Oh yeah, I already mentioned about Lane Johnson gave up a sack, but you know that was the first quarter,
hmm
and then Hassan Reddick got his sack in the second quarter, and he seems to be coming around every week more and more and more.
Yeah. Riddick, he's like really a great defensive player. So yeah, he shows up in times of need. Yeah.
But I know they,
He got some bad, I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get to it later on as far as that hit they call on Prescott, but to me that was BS.
yeah, yeah, it
So,
was, it absolutely was. And speaking of that, I have a lady friend out in Houston, Texas. She's a avid Dallas fan, you know. And so the
mhm.
first thing she put on last night, well, we can't play the Eagles and the ref as well.
What? I heard that a lot. I heard that a lot last night through Facebook and other places. People were saying the refs. I'm like the refs. Did you see the last minute of the fourth quarter? It's like everything went against the Eagles. I mean, it's
Yeah,
almost like they were
absolutely.
trying to give the game to Dallas. So that I don't. They can forget that ref call stuff. No.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, because like you said that rough in the passer on Hassan, that
That was
was
crazy.
nowhere near that,
Nothing. All
nowhere
he did was
near it.
run into him with his elbow, and he didn't even. And he tried to help him up and everything. They call that. I mean, and these not like small penalties. They're calling like 15-yard penalties against
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
and that's getting them all the way to the goal line. It's almost like they're trying to give them the game. So all the calls went against the Eagles in that last minute.
Yeah, yeah, because I think they started that last series out at at their own 14-yard line,
Yeah,
and
and
they end up all
look
the
what they
way
ended up.
down.
Yeah, and that is because of the penalties against us. So that's why they're
Yeah,
saying the refs were not on our side at all.
no, no, not at all. But that just goes to show you the mentality of the Cowboys fans.
hmm
If they lose, then it's always somebody else's
Right.
fault, the ref, or if they win one game. Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're
Yeah,
going to the
right.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, and see, my thing about it is if you play a good game, and you don't have to worry about some of those refs because if you play some good games and you outright score, then there's going to be some bad calls, and there were bad calls on both sides, not just
Yes,
on them,
absolutely.
on us. We had some calls, missed calls, and everything. So that happens every game. So that argument is out the window because the refs can't see it all, and thank God we had replay because we didn't have replay, we lose that game.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
absolutely, absolutely.
Like you were talking
Yeah.
about with the Blankenship with that guy with the touchdown. I mean, they don't rewind that back. He gets they give him the points. The 2-point conversion, they gave it to Prescott. Here you go. And then thank
Exactly.
God for replay. He was out of
Yeah.
bounds,
Because you can see clearly that foot was out of bounds.
Oh yeah, there was no. So you talk about refs and all that. Look at what they did. Those calls were legitimate calls for them. You
Yeah.
wind it back. You didn't want to see it, but I mean, even Prescott looked like, oh man, he was so busy concentrating on getting the ball over the line, he didn't see where his feet was because that's a receiver's thing. Normally, receivers know the tiptoe inside there. He's a
Yeah.
quarterback.
Yeah.
That's not what he's thinking about. He's thinking about getting the ball over the line because that's not his everyday thing.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing about our defense that really ticked me off, they were letting CD Lamb just run wild.
I call that. I told everybody. I told my brother. I said, CeeDee Lamb. If they don't even double team him, I said they don't watch out for him. That is where Dak's going to go every single time. And like you said, every single time, and he doesn't miss anything hardly at all. So they knew
Yeah.
where to
Yeah.
go, and that's what other teams are going to look at. Where's their weak side at? That was the weak side, and keep going, keep feeding the weak side, and that's what happened. And he kept catching.
Yeah.
And you would
Now,
expect they would have that on film.
Yeah,
If they would
yeah,
have watched him in film and say, "Hey, this is what you guys got to do. CeeDee Lamb, this is what you got to be able to do with him," they couldn't do nothing with him.
yeah, yeah. Sooner or later, some quarterback is really gonna. I mean, we already been exposed, but they really gonna take advantage of that secondary how they're
Oh yeah.
playing because, I mean, it's unbelievable. Of I think Dak maybe had 370 some yards
Yeah.
passing,
Yeah.
and our defense is much too good to have this week in and week out.
That's right.
You
So
know,
that's what I'm saying. The game yesterday, when you look at the numbers, you like, ain't no way that the Cowboys should have lost that game.
right,
Because
right.
look how many numbers, look what Dak put up yesterday. So that was, I'm not gonna say luck, but that was good on our part to be able to still win with them playing that good. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I guess as the bottom line goes, and you and I, we say this every week with all the mistakes, we're
Hmm.
still winning. I guess that's the mark of a good
Yeah.
team.
Hmm.
And at some point, it has to change. And I'm hoping that change would come later on or closer to the playoff or after we get
Right.
that first round bye. Then if everything can click like it's supposed to, I don't see
Right.
anybody, stopping us.
Yeah. But it's still not like I said, and also that the new guy we got, the safety,
By
Byron, I
your
mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I was not too much impressed with him. I'm not impressed with him yet. He hasn't shown me anything.
Hmm.
I know it's only his couple of weeks being in Philadelphia, but gotta get up to speed here because I'm
Yeah,
looking at him
yeah.
like thinking that okay, he got burnt a few times and he had
Hmm.
maybe a tackle here, a tackle there, but not. I'm expecting bigger things out of him since all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
talk about him.
Yeah, I agree because I definitely seen a couple of times where uh, I don't know if it was CD Lamb, but they had another guy too that was catching quite a bit, and a lot of times it was on Bayard. But
Hmm.
like I said, hopefully that's just a matter of him getting totally acclimated to the system, and then once you learn the system, you play faster. I
Yeah.
think he's kind of thinking out there right now.
Even on the return, with that turnip guy on the return, from Dallas, which we know is really fast. You got if
Hmm.
you get the
Hmm.
ball, those are things. It's like, did you guys even watch any film on Dallas? Because that guy, you let him loose, he can score a touchdown
Yeah,
just
yeah.
running it back, and it's like nobody's stopping him. I mean, he's getting midfield, giving him good field position. It's like, come on.
And that's really how the game goes is field position. And if
Hmm.
you let that return and get up there the 45 and 50-yard
Right.
line, you don't put yourself behind the 8 ball from Jump Street.
Especially when you're playing with a good quarterback like Prescott, who can get that ball out his hand and he can make those connections, and you already giving him midfield, well, that's going to be some type of score, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown, because you're
Yeah.
giving him half the thing already.
Yep, yep. And one of the notes I had made about the our defensive coordinator, it seems like because I know the announcer even said a couple of times they was playing what they call a too high safety, that when the
Hmm.
two guys back and to try to keep everything in front of them.
Right.
But then at the same time, just like we say every week, the guys are not up on the line
Yeah.
and they can jam the receiver. And all it takes is 3, 4 yards here, first play, three,
Yeah.
4 yards, the second play, and then you got a third and short.
Yeah.
That's they got to look at that really hard again.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Now, the thing I like about the offense is once Dallas scored, we came back and scored too.
Yeah.
And these guys don't ever seem to get down a whole lot. Things
Hmm.
go wrong. Like I said, they correct it. They go back in there, and then they make a play to keep up because you cannot fall behind Dallas. You
No.
cannot fall
No.
behind.
Mm-mm. No. They're not. Yeah, that's the one of those teams you can come back on. Some teams then they start off real good, and next thing you know, you see the score, 21-0, and you turn your channel like, what? It's tied. Some teams you can come back on, sometimes some teams you cannot. And
Hmm.
um, and I think that the Eagles kept good. 'Cause it was a close game. I mean, the game was everything I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I did not think it
Yes.
was going to be a blowout. I didn't think it was going to be an
Hmm.
easy win. I'm like, it's going to get down to the wire. I didn't want
Yeah.
to be that wire because, like I said,
Right.
my blood pressure. But
Hmm.
it got down to the last second of the game.
Yeah.
It lives up to the hype.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. I'm glad it was what they call American Game of the Week. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely lived up to the hype, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that everybody that watched it, was entertained and
Mm-hmm.
got their money's worth out of it.
Oh yeah.
And especially us Eagles fan, because if we'd have
Mm-hmm.
lost, I mean, even though they played a
Yeah.
great game, but if we'd have lost, then it would not been the same today, because whenever you lose to Dallas as an Eagles fan, that's detrimental to your mentality the rest of the
Especially
day.
when you lose at home to Dallas. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you lose on the field. We have to watch that and witness it, and no, that would not have been good. Because my thing about it is, like I said, I had the Eagles going 13-4, and like I said, we're on track of even beating that record that I had. I
Hmm.
did not. I had us going 1-1 with Dallas, and I said we have
Right.
to split. I wanted to split with the win at home,
At home,
so
yes.
because at least we know we got that secure. Now they won at home, then we got to be like, oh, are we going to beat them in Dallas? And then you got that going through your mind for the next
Yeah,
few weeks.
yeah,
So at
yeah,
least we got that. If they win, say, hey, we beat y'all. So it's an even split.
yeah.
So,
And like you said, with the defense, towards the end of the game is when they seems to plays. It's when they sing the coordinator calls the right plays, But we made the stop when we needed it,
right, right.
and old man Brandon
Hmm.
Graham, he's still coming through for us, isn't he?
Yeah, because I was like, first of all, my husband was like, "Is Brandon Graham playing?" I said, I didn't even see him in the game."
Hmm.
At first I was
Right.
rooting for him, but he showed up, like I said, when we needed him to show up. Big
Yeah,
play.
yeah, yeah. I mean that guy. I mean, it's sometimes kind of hard to believe that he is a football player, because
Yeah,
he's always smiling. You don't
yeah,
see that mean streak in him like he has on the field, because he's
yeah,
such a nice guy.
yeah.
But
He
yeah,
loves
he
it.
got
He
in
loves
there.
what he does too. He loves the game of football.
Yes,
I heard
yes.
his interview, last night. He's passionate about playing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And that's what you need, guys like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Well seasoned vet. So.
yeah. It's really gonna be a shame to see him go, but we're pretty much for sure that he's not
Hmm.
going to be around next year. And even how he's playing now, or not how he's playing, but as the lack of playing time pretty much
Yeah.
indicates that.
Right,
But
right.
when he gets in there, he does what he needs to do. He does his thing,
Hmm.
and I know we all are going to miss that around him, and especially being close to Tim and miss his smile, miss his friendship, because there is not a time if we're out with the Eagles that when he sees us, no matter which driver it is, he comes
Hmm.
up, smile, hugs, talk to you,
Yeah.
just have a good conversation, and
Hmm.
every player is not like that,
I have several pictures with Brandon Graham. Anytime we go and we see him, me and my husband, he stops to take a picture. He don't
Hmm.
care. He loves his fans and everything. So he's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
players that will recognize you when you're out. Hey, take a picture. He'll
absolutely.
stop and take a picture real fast. So
Hmm.
now, what do you think
Yeah,
about Cox? I mean, you think this is last year or?
yeah, yeah. I think so too, because I mean, they tried to get rid of him,
Hmm.
but he didn't want to go anywhere else. And
Hmm.
when he does stop, I don't think he's going to play anywhere else. I think he's
Yeah.
probably going to call it a season,
Hmm.
because he had the opportunity last year to go elsewhere.
Right.
And in a couple of interviews, he said, I want to be right here. I want to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think if they don't re-sign him, I mean, it's a possibility, of course, that he could play somewhere else. But I remember a guy, I had him on my podcast when I first started, Trey Thomas. I know you know Trey Thomas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Trey was here for 11 years as well.
Hmm.
And when he left here, he went to Jacksonville.
Okay.
And in the podcast, he was saying, he's a man, said, Jacksonville is only a couple of hours from my home. So
Yeah.
my family, everybody said, we coming to the game. He said, no, don't worry about it. Just stay home. Said, my heart ain't into it. So don't even worry about this game. He said,
Hmm.
once you leave once you play for Philadelphia and you leave Philadelphia, it's not the same playing for any other team.
No, because the fans and everything like that is there, and the love for their team and stuff. And to me, if Cox, I mean, he's kind of like injury prone a lot. He
Mm-hmm.
go in and out
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So that's why I'm glad we got some good replacements if he does leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
because I like him and everything like that, but we need to be able to count on him each game.
Yeah,
And like I
yeah,
said, he's
yeah.
getting older, so he's in and out. He gets injured, and you don't know if he's going to come back in the game, and if he does, he's going to pull in for him and stuff. So we got the younger guys, and I'm glad we got those, like, but once again, I want to hear Jordan's name. I want to hear,
Yeah,
Jordan,
yeah,
I want to hear
yeah.
Carter. I didn't see all these guys, like I said, until the fourth quarter, and I'm like, come on. You guys are right there. Prescott, to me, I was expecting Prescott to get sacked a little bit more than he did yesterday,
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. When it comes to these young guys, especially with this Dallas rivalry,
Hmm.
I'm sure they've heard so much about it, but it's different when you're in it.
Yeah.
And so maybe, hopefully, the next time, they will play a little bit different. You hear a lot more of their names, but this time,
Mhm.
I'm not going to say overwhelming, but it was different for them to actually play in the rivalry
Oh, yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, and I know there was a lot of nerves going there because the fans. That's a game that you have to win in Philadelphia,
Oh yeah,
but the fans could
absolutely.
not live that down. So they had a lot of pressure on that game to win, and the pressure was really on the Eagles because more to me than the Cowboys. The Cowboys need to win to say, hey, we are them boys. The
Yeah,
Eagles
them
need that win to
boys.
say, look, we can beat anybody. We're number one because this. So that to me was a bigger win for us because we would have got more criticized in the media if we didn't win. Versus they're
Right,
still
right.
saying, "Oh, the Cowboys played a good game." It was like inches that they didn't lose. I mean, inches. I don't care what it is. A L's a L. You take
Yeah,
it. I don't care.
right, right.
So, but they're kind of like sugarcoating it for them. But had that been the Eagles' loss against them, it would have been all a big thing last night.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
The Eagles
absolutely.
were the team we thought they were, and they didn't play nobody. And we played the Dolphins and the Cowboys, the Rams. I mean, we've gotten these wins, and we
Yeah,
played
yeah.
somebody.
And you're absolutely right. That's the first thing they would say. Well, they haven't played nobody yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we can only play who is on the schedule,
right.
and
And
all of
everybody
these
has the same
teams from
team.
the NFL are on the schedule. You know.
Right. The thing about it is everybody plays in our division the same teams, except one division we split, the NFC South. We split that one here, one there, but
Right,
everybody's
right.
going to play the same team. And now there's no excuse that the Eagles didn't play anybody. We played a lot of over 500 teams. You look at the Cowboys, some teams they play are under 500 or just there. So, you know, that they can kill that conversation. We played some good teams, and we are
Right, right.
8-1 for a reason. No matter how we got there, we're there.
Absolutely. And another thing, in my opinion, yesterday win was really important for the standings in itself because
Hmm.
now we're 8-1. Dallas, what, 5-3?
Right. Hmm.
It seems like it should be more, but I think they said it's a 2.5 game lead. You
Right.
know,
Hmm.
and they're subject to lose again. We're subject to win again. So that
Right.
standard is going to keep increasing.
Right. And I'm glad you said that because that's another thing I was looking at because of us having to buy and they play the Giants, which is probably going to be in their favor. So they have a chance to catch up if we lose that game yesterday. Then they go, 6-2, or and then we are 7-2. Then they got a chance to win next week, and almost tie it up and everything. And on top of it being a division game, that was great. Now we're 3-0 in the division win.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
it was so much riding on that game that's going to carry us into the playoffs. So we can look back and say, good thing we won that game. Good thing we won this game because now look what we're facing. So, hey, get the wins piled up any way you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we have a bye coming up this week. Hopefully, some of the guys can heal a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think later on today, God is going to have an MRI, but they're already saying that he has a fracture.
Right.
So that's going to
Hmm.
cause some times for him to be out.
Hmm.
And as tough as Jalen is, he can't keep taking that pounding on that knee every week,
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
hopefully this week they can give him a lot of treatment to make it even stronger so when they come
Right.
back.
Yeah. So
And
like he even said, the bye is coming in a good time. So that
yeah,
lets you know
yeah,
he wants
yeah,
the healing
yeah.
time. Hmm.
And who else got hurt? Didn't Slade went out for a series or one or two plays,
He came
and
back
I
in.
think
So,
I think
mhm.
Bradbury did too. But
Yeah.
all in all, everyone should be able to get some treatment and have a better showing coming up. And speaking of that, the next game is Kansas City Chief. Give me your thoughts on it.
I think they're definitely beatable. And just, you compare them to the Broncos. It depends on who wants more. And I think that maybe Kansas City lost against the Broncos because they came out with the mentality of the Broncos is trash. See, when you're looking at teams like that, they're looking at they have to win to prove something. So to me, it's going to be a good matchup to see. Everybody's going to be comparing it to the Super Bowl. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, they're beatable just like we are. So, once again, it's going to be, to me, it's going to be the same type of game as playing the Cowboys. You have to control Kelsey, but we have to control Lamb, different
Mm-hmm.
positions. You got receivers, now you got a tight end. But even with Goddard being out, I mean, we got so many good receivers in our running game. So it's not like Goddard would be missed 100% in that position because there's more options out there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
lose out
yeah.
on him. And then you got Scholl as the backup, and then another guy, another backup tight end. But I think that game, if the Eagles really work out and take this bye and get some rest and then regroup and stuff, I think they can go into Kansas City and beat them on their field.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think the bye would give Julio Jones more time to get acclimated to the
Right,
system, and
right.
he can be used more as well.
So we definitely have the weapons. I mean, Kansas City is good. I mean, it's going to be hard to control Mahomes because, I mean, with our
Yeah,
defense on him because he's all over the place. Look what they did with Prescott. They couldn't really do too much of him, and Mahomes is
hmm
even better. So a
yeah,
defense
yeah.
has to step up that game because the defense does not step up, you do not win that game on offensive
Absolutely,
line.
absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, here again, another 30 minutes that went by so quick. But it was good because we're talking
Mhm.
about a victory on Victory Monday, and the
Yeah,
Eagles are now 8-1 and in the
yeah.
driver's seat in the NFL as well as the
Mhm.
NFC East.
Right.
So again, thank you so much. And I think one of these Sundays I'm gonna have to, at the same time that I'm watching the game and making notes, is to
Okay.
also watch your screamings to get a lot of more reaction.
Yeah, we have a good time on Sunday. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Annette. And I appreciate you. You enjoy the rest of your day.
okay, you too.
And we'll see you
Love
at the
you.
same time next week. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Okay.